All right, all right, all right, all right. Shalom, shalom, and shalom, Sister Deborah. Coming with an awesome message this evening, bringing in the Sabbath with a awesome message. And this message is pretty dangerous, you guys. And once we get into it, you're going to see exactly what I'm speaking of when I said dangerous. It's a type of message that if you're not you don't have the Ruach, which is the Holy Spirit living down in you already. You'll never grip this message, and you might even feel offended by it because you might not understand what is being said and what is going to be said and how it's going to be said. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bring that thing up and I'm gonna land that thing down. And if you cannot comprehend what I'm saying and you cannot grip what I'm saying, it's because it's something missing in you. It's something down in you that's no void. Okay. Through this message, the spirit has been on me today in a way that he has brought me or no set me on fire. Okay. Earlier this morning when I got up, he was saying all these things to me, like the early morning when he gave me that message, and then he gave me this one the same time. And I was able to put everything down because I want to cover this message in a way that one might grip it because the way the Father gave it to me. And when he gave it to me, I'm like within me, I'm like saying within myself, you know what? This creator is some sort of creator. We would never know him, y'all. He would never let you know him. You would never, ever, ever know him because there's always something new in front of him, on his left with that right hand power, on that right, and always something behind him. He's just an all around sort of creator. And when he comes wholehearted and strong. So when I'm talking about what it do when it come to me, I'm telling you the truth of the matter is he don't play. Okay. So he was saying things to me, y'all, that I had no idea where the Father get this from. That's how I felt. Wait, hold up, Father, y'all. Where we going? But the good thing about it, he took me all the way home. That's the beauty of it. I don't care where he takes us, where we feel that we lost and we don't know where we at or don't know where we're going. Y'all gonna always bring you back home to him. And that's the beauty of who he is. Okay. So I'm gonna go into Romans chapter 51. I have no idea why I went into Romans chapter 51. All I know is what Yah was sharing with me. And what he shared with me, guess what, y'all? Sister Deborah had no idea. No, no idea, none whatsoever. I learned something I never, ever, ever knew. And I ain't talking on one thing. I learned so much this morning. I'm like, wait a minute. There's no end, is it, Father? No, Deborah. Never was. It's no end to learning something new that is spirit and truth. There's no end to the light. There's no end. The only thing there is for you to be ready to receive it. Spirit and truth and the light for what it is. But outside of that, there's no end to it. And he's shown me that this morning. I can live 1,000,000 years and there still ain't gonna be no end to it. But he can teach me every day in the next 1,000,000 years. There's no end. But he wants us to be ready to hear him in us. He wants us to be ready to hear what he has to teach us. He wants us to be ready in here, y'all, in that spirit of who we are, and he abide inside that spirit. Because what he told me today, it is too dangerous to really put onto this platform. It's dangerous. I would never have known what I'm about to share with you all. It is entitled, it is totally dangerous. Dangerous. I mean, for real dangerous. And as I cover this, you're going to understand exactly what I mean. Because I prefer, if you come to this platform and you're not, and you don't have the Holy Spirit, this is the time I'm gonna give you to back up and back out. Okay, I'm gonna give you this opportunity to back up and back out. Okay, so that you won't be hurt by what Sister Deborah is about to say. And honestly, it's no reason for you to be hurt, but you will be, because Sister Deborah finna say some things that I didn't know. I learned them this morning, though, through the Ruach. I had no idea of what I'm about to teach you all. That's why I say, y'all, I ain't playing. This is too dangerous for you to be on here listening to Sister Deborah tonight. So I suggest that you get up and get out. Shoot your best shot out of here. Because what I'm about to talk about is something going to make you shoot out anyway. So you might as well take that time and do it now. If you don't have the Holy Spirit of the Most High living in you, and you're not led by him, this is the time and opportunity to what I call swoop the coop, get out. Okay, you know that movie they call Get Out? When this is the time, you should get out of this platform where Sister Deborah is about to teach this lesson. And I'm coming from Psalms of 51, and I want to start with verse 4. Psalms 51 and verse 4. So this is a dangerous message Sister Deborah about to speak on, and it's going to rock your whole world. It's going to show you ain't never in your life knew nothing when you thought you knew something. That's why I say take out this time while you can. I'm going to give you a few minutes to swoop the coop. Shoot your best shot up out of here. Because that's what this message is about. Because the way I'm going to put it out is the way he put it in. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that he continued to keep that fire going in me like it was this morning. I mean, it was on, y'all. And it just threw me all the way out, y'all. But you know what? We're going to talk about that because I'm about to show y'all something here. Let's start with Psalms 51, and we're going to start in verse 4. Now, I see that y'all is wanting me to do this it's no end to him teaching me. But to take this and put it on this devil platform, and people not able to really get it because the Ruach is not in them to really feel that thing or understand it, this is a dangerous message. So please leave. Please, if you don't have the Ruach, I beg of you, please leave. That's how dangerous this message is. It's going to rock your world. And it's going to change Genesis in a way you ain't even know Genesis exists. Let's go. Psalms chapter 51. And we just going to start with verse 4. And I don't know. I would have never thought I'd be teaching it like this. Because when I was a teenager, y'all, I get into this book and I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. I get in one verse, I couldn't get out. And then I go to the second once it's time to get out of that one verse. I go to the next one, I couldn't get out. It's so much in the verse that the Ruach has to teach you. No one can just go to this book and read it and see it. You can't. Something that is unseen must allow you to be able to see, to be able to hear what you're reading. So you can, through the Spirit, can break it down. Let's go. Psalms 51 and verse 4. Now, this is a dangerous message, and I'm asking you to exit the quickest exit out or off this page. Psalms 51 and verse 4, and it reads, again, wait a minute, against thee, the only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Now, see what I just said? Y'all don't know what the rat's behind going on, do you? But Sister Deborah gonna break it down, and you're gonna be like, oh no, yes. And as I go down from 4 on down, you're gonna learn something you never knew. And you're gonna find out what was going on when y'all, when not y'all, let me not say that, when man rechanged Genesis chapter, was it 3? Yeah. And they kind of did some working in it, but I'm going to enlighten you because of what David just enlightened me through the Ruach in this here message. Watch this here. When you first look at Psalms 51, you see the verse 4, it says, against thee. I'm going to read the whole thing over again. I'm going to come back and ask you the question. Psalms chapter 50, verse 4, against thee, thee only have I sinned and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. First and foremost, what is David saying here when he says, against thee? What is David saying against thee? And you don't have to know it. I'm just going to break it down. I'm going to show you something that I had no idea. Watch this. Against thee. Shalom, shalom. Listen to this. Against thee. Who is David? Who is David said against thee? And then he said, thee only. And then he said, have I sinned? And then he said, and done this evil in thy sight. And then he said that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. You got it. You're on the right track. You're right. You're right when he says sinned, but you got to catch what he's doing. Catch what he's saying when he says sin. Sinned against the Most High. Yes, that's who he's talking to. Exactly. So he sinned, but he's talking to the Most High Yah. Okay? But look what he's saying. Against thee. What is he saying? He signed against Yah somewhat, but let's get it to where we can really grip the ideal of he said against thee. What David is actually saying, I did all this against you, against the Most High Yah. Listen to what he said. And only did I do it against you. I didn't do it against me. I did it against you. I'm against thee. I did it against thee, and only against thee. Watch this here. Have I sinned? I sinned only against thee, and done this evil in your eyes. You see how he's talking to Yah? Watch this here. And done this evil in thy eyes. He's talking to Yah. Watch this here. Thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judges. You know what David's saying to him? He's telling the Most High Yah something I had no idea about the flesh. He's telling the Most High Yah everything my flesh do. I do it against you purposely. I'm against thee. And only you, and thee only, have I sinned and done this evil in your eyes. Let me not get the answer. In your sight, that I might be justified when you speak and be clear when you judges. Now we're finna break down that one verse. Against thee. When David is saying against thee, he's talking to Yah. He said, I have wronged Yah. That's what he's saying. I have done wrong to Yah. And then he say, and thee only. I have only done wrong against Yah only and him only. Not even against myself, not against nobody else. I'm doing all these things against Yah. Now watch this here. Evil in thy sight. He's telling Yah, in the presence of your sight, your eyes, in the presence of you, I'm against thee. In the presence of you, I've wronged thee. Straight in, I did evil, even in the presence of your sight. I done evil. Evil in thy sight. Then he said, mightest be justified. Justified might says it justified mean righteous. And then he said, when thou speakest, then he said, be clear when thou judges. What David is saying is what? Do y'all hear what he's saying? And do y'all know why he said it? And see, I didn't know this, y'all. So I think it's wonderful to know it, but it's off the chain. What is David talking about? Anybody know in the life what David is actually talking about in verse 4? Against thee and thee only am I against. Have I sinned and done this evil even straight in your sight, that thou may be justified, mean you that thou mightest be just, meaning righteous, when thou speak, and be clear when thou judges. Anybody understand what's going on? That's right. He's saying y'all are going to judge him righteously. Oh yes, he's saying it. He's saying that. No, he's actually wanting you to understand something in here. It's a mystery, but it's not a mystery. David is saying something in here. And I did not know that. David is sending a message in here. And I'm going to tell y'all what it is. If anybody want to have another chance at what is actually taking place right here in verse 4. Against thee. This is David. And thee only. David is saying something, y'all. Let me tell you what he said. He's sending a message to us to let us know that this is the way of our flesh against the Father. And our flesh needs to be judged righteously by Yah. That's what he's saying. And he's saying that we should be checked. David is telling y'all that that's how horrible our flesh is. That it is against him. It do evil, it straighten y'all's eyes. I know that for a fact. That's why I'm trying to understand why ain't nobody saying nothing about all the stuff that people are doing, and they call themselves righteous people, call themselves people of Yah. Now, I'm not talking about just the Hebrew Israelites. I'm talking about Christians, everybody, Catholics, everybody. Making wrong right and right wrong, bitter sweet and sweet bitter. David's sitting here telling you his flesh does these things against the Most High Yah. Now you see how David is so just in the spirit that he's sending us a sign of how wicked our flesh is. He knows he's a man of Yah in the spirit, but he's trying to get us to see how ugly we are in the flesh. And we walk around here and act as if there's nothing wrong with us. And David said, against thee and thee only. Your flesh can't be against nobody on this earth but Yah. When you sin, David letting you know you ain't sinning against your parents, your wife, or your husband, your children. You ain't sinning against your fiance, your friends, your co-workers. You sinned against him only. David finna show you how everything we do down here in the flesh is only against him. Ain't that deep? It ain't against nobody on this earth but him. That's what David's trying to draw us into, y'all. He's trying to get you to see that we are this way with him. So he went to let himself be the example so you all can see that Yah has no dealings with our flesh. Because our flesh is only on this earth to sin against Yah. And David telling you that my flesh is against thee. My flesh only, and you only, is my flesh against. Have I sinned and done this evil in your sight? He letting you know. Everything you down here on this earth doing in your flesh is against the Most High Yah. But Yah set it up to have nothing to do with your flesh. And that's what David is saying. In your eyes, I sin and do evil. Why would you have to tell Yah that? Truth. Because right today, people think everything they do is, what is it, in a man's eyes is clean. David's sitting here telling you, let me tell y'all something. I sinned and did evil. Not to nobody. I done killed a lot of men, y'all. I done done a lot of things. But guess what? It wasn't to the men that I killed. It wasn't to the people that's around me or people that is my enemy. I did it to the Father. The evil I do to the Father. The sin I do it because of the Father, because he see. And you tell me that ain't deep. He's actually sitting here telling you and look at it. It says in verse 4, and done this evil in thy sight. He said here telling, Yah, I did it in your sight. Why? Because Yah sees it all. And he know he sees it all. So he's telling the truth by telling Yah, and I do it in your sight. I'm not doing no evil down here to nobody on this earth. I'm doing it against you, the Most High Yah. When I finish with this message, somebody gonna unsubscribe, and I'm gonna be glorifying y'all about that, because this message is gonna show you how powerful your flesh is against your spirit that y'all abide in. Now, this ain't David ain't the one that's walking in the flesh. No, y'all miss it. Y'all keep missing. You're gonna continue to miss it. Because David is saying the flesh body that he has, y'all has my spirit. I'm born of the spirit, but let me tell you what this flesh do toward y'all. I think that is so powerful for David to have told us that even though he's a man out of Yah's own heart, and he has a purpose in him that Yah has orchestrated for him to walk on this earth, but he's telling you the part of him that goes against. Look at the first word, y'all. Look at verse 4. The first word against thee. He's talking to Yah. My flesh is against thee. Praise the mighty Yah. That is so 100. Because we will look at the fact that there are those who are born of the flesh, and then those are those who are born of the spirit. But what David said, I'm born of the spirit, but let me tell you, there's my flesh still. Even if I'm born of the spirit, my flesh still is against him. Told you. This, want me to tell you what this do? It teaches people that while you out here clowning and you trying to dress away, look away, and act away, you doing that all on the outer man. This is just showing you Yah has no dealings with your outer man, because your outer man gonna always find room to be against who you serve in your inner man. That's why you are your own worstest enemy, because your own flesh go up against your own spirit that y'all abide in. And that's what David is saying. But y'all ain't heard nothing yet. You ain't heard nothing yet. Wait till you hear this. So in verse 1, Psalms 51 and verse 4, David is showing Sister Deborah that, okay, Deborah, you have the Holy Spirit and you might be full of it, but that's only in the spirit. Your flesh go up against Yah 24/24. Your flesh is an enemy of Yah from the day you hit this earth. And y'all gonna find that out. It's gonna blow your mind. And I agree with him. I salute it, because I had to back it up. Because I got to asking the Father when he was teaching it to me. I got to ask him, so what was that in Genesis? He said, first and foremost, they smeared it and they moved it about. But we're going to go into the body and see the curses that Yah gave was only for the body, the flesh that was against him. Anyway, so watch this. So now we go here, and it says, David is saying in verse 4, he said that thou mightest be justified, meaning, Yah, you are all righteous. Yep, I sin against you. I do evil against you, right in your eye. That means you can't escape it, you people. And David's sitting here telling us, and it's true. Wait till we get there. And he's sitting here telling the Father who he is in his flesh. And guess why he's able to do that? He feel that thing. See, you can't agree with David until you're able to feel that thing. You got to feel what David's talking about. Because I can. I know exactly what David is saying. Because I'm constantly trying to get Yah to do something about who I am on the outside. All the time. Because only thing against Yah regarding Sister Deborah is identical to what David is saying. But it makes it all make sense. And then he turns around and say to Yah, I'm doing it straight in your face. I'm doing evil right in your face. And you see it. Now watch this here. That thou mightest be justified. You are righteous when you speak to me. Everything you say to me, to correct me, to discipline me, to show me how to do things right, all of it's righteous. Every word you speak is righteous. That's what he's telling them. Watch this here. And look at verse 4. And be clear when thou judges. What do you mean, be clear? Plainly white as snow. Plainly bright and white as snow. Plainly. Meaning he's just that righteous. Purely when he judges. Why? Okay. Let's say Deborah is David. I'm sitting here trying to tell y'all that's how the flesh is. Be totally against Yah. Totally against Yah. But our spirit is what and where Yah abide in. And that's why we cannot deny, like David said, that we are our own worst enemies. Because we are fighting against our own selves. And still turn around and try to deny it. But David is telling y'all full of crap. Because I'm here telling you the truth. I'm doing it straight in the sight of Yah. What do he mean when he said that? He knows Yah see him. You mean to tell me, David, you are against Yah in this flesh? You sin and do evil in this flesh, knowing that Yah see it? That's how wicked our flesh is. That's why you can't get nobody speaking spirit of truth. That's why you can't find people who's holding the light. Because the sort of things David is saying here is 100. And he's sitting here telling the Father, you clear. That means you plainly as white can be. In the sense of 100 times 20 million righteous in the way you judge me. Because my flesh is against thee. Remember Paul said, when I try to do right, evil is present. He's talking about his flesh, y'all. Same thing David's talking about. David trying to get us to look at self. How many times Sister Deborah tell y'all that? She said, go look at yourself in the mirror. Look at your own self in the mirror. Judge yourself daily. That's what he's talking about. He's telling us to judge our flesh daily because of what David said. David's sitting here trying to show us how our flesh is against Yah. Do evil and sin against Yah. And we know we're doing it because we're doing it straight in his sight. Well, how do David know he looking? Because he sees all things. David know that Yah sees all things. And he ain't got no reason to lie in his spirit if his flesh already doing sin and evil. That's why I tell y'all, you salute what Yah is doing and have done. Because he's doing it after the flesh. Yah is cursing the flesh, you people. Israel ain't over here because of the spirit. Israel over here because of the flesh. Judah ain't at the four corners because of the spirit. Judah at the four corners because of the flesh. That's what David telling you, to try to give us some insight to realize why we need to renew our mind daily. And we need to judge ourselves daily. That's what David's talking about, because he started with himself. He said, I'm against thee. He said, I'm against thee, and only you I'm against. Flesh can't be against flesh. That's why the fight and the war ain't about flesh and blood. That's why the war ain't about flesh and blood. David's sitting here telling you. He's sitting here telling you, only you I'm against. Flesh is only against the one that created. That's it. And we, all these thousands and thousands of years, ain't even got the sense to catch on and hold on to it. Remember, I was saying to y'all, they said that they're awakened. You see how much spirit and truth people cannot be awakened when they missing all of this good stuff. Let's rumble. Watch this here. But I like how David praised the Father for being mightiest and righteous. And when he speaks, it's so clear to judge. I like that because he's saying that ain't nothing he's going to speak to us would not be righteous, would not be unrighteous. It all will be righteous and clear judgment, because our flesh is what's cutting up from the flow up on this earth. That's why I said be careful trying to portray that you got a key to the kingdom and your flesh is against the Father. You ain't learned to get that under the subjection to the spirit that's in you. It's still ruling you. So let's go. I stepped into verse 5. Just listen to what David said. Behold, who you talking to? David said in verse 5, behold. What do behold mean? Look. Who you telling that to? He's showing us how the flesh. But what the good thing about what David is doing is truth. He's telling us about this sick flesh, but he's telling us the truth. Verse 5, behold. Who are you telling to behold? He said, look. But wait a minute, y'all see it all. What you telling him to look for? He's trying to send a sign to us. Listen to what he said. I was sharpened in iniquity. This says shaping. I was shaping in iniquity. What do he mean? What do David mean there? Right, flesh. There you go. Yes, that's what he means. When he said, behold, he said, look, he said, I was shaping in iniquity. So what is iniquity? If we know that David is saying that he was shaped in the flesh, but what is iniquity? In iniquity. What is that? Anybody know? Sin. There you go. So you see how we know David is talking about the flesh because he's showing you that I'm not ashamed. If what I'm saying, Deborah, is going to help somebody today, break it down to them. Because somebody might need this just to get a little closer to Yah, where they need to be. Now watch this. He said, behold, look. That's what behold means. I was shaping in iniquity. So we know that he said the flesh sin. Okay. Watch this here. Verse 5. And in sin, so remember you said it was sin? There it is. There the answer is. In sin. So he's saying that he was shaped in iniquity. And in sin did my mother conceive me. I said, wait a minute, Father. No, Father. No, Father. No, Father. Please, Father, please. Father took me so deep off that cliff and he pushed me off. He pushed me off. Y'all missed it, didn't you? Y'all don't see that mystery sitting up in verse 5, do you? I'm going to give you a minute and I'm going to read it over. Behold, I was shaping in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. I like that. Only thing about it is, I'm going to have to totally break that down. Can anybody know what's going on with what David is talking about there? Shape in flesh, spirit is not shaping. Right. So you see, David is talking about the flesh. So he's telling us about who we are in the flesh that is against Yah. Now, we ain't against Yah in the spirit. He's just talking about the ways of us in the flesh. Yah never deals with our flesh. All these years, people didn't, all these thousands of years, people didn't taught it, and still today. I need someone to tell me, David, what are you saying in verse 5? You already let us know you was shaping in iniquity, which is sin. And in sin, somebody answer this. When he said, in sin did my mother conceive me. In sin did my mother conceive me. Someone says two flesh came together to conceive him. We're speaking of David. Two flesh came together to conceive him. David, mother and father were, I think, married, but I'm just still saying, guess what I learned, y'all? Through the Holy Spirit himself. I didn't learn this from myself reading this. I learned it from the Holy Spirit. There's a mystery sitting right there. Flesh is flesh. It's all sinful in the eye. Very good. Very good. That's the point David is trying to get us to see. Do you see what I'm saying? David, that's exactly where David is coming from. That's where he's coming from. Anything dealing with the flesh. Like you said, flesh on flesh. In the eyes of Yah is sin. That's what David's sitting here telling you. David's sitting here telling us that. So when we're running, and David couldn't do this here. That's why I know the Ruach gave this purpose in this day, in this blessed day for me to give it to you all. Because see, David couldn't give you about what I'm about to give you. Okay? David is actually sitting here telling you, in sin did his mother conceive me. What David is saying, all this stuff that where we even get pleasure that's attached to sin. Everything that we do with the flesh is sin. Even being, even conceiving is sin. Because why? It's done by the flesh. David, and when I saw that, I began to say to the Father, but Father, it all makes sense. You know why it makes sense? Because the Ruach taught me this, and I've taught you all this too, and it might go over your head tonight, but watch this. Remember when I was telling y'all, you know how they say these women out here getting an abortion? And these women out of here, these black people, you know, black women always getting an abortion. They keep going, you know, aborting the babies, and black women this and black women that when it come down to aborting a baby. And I keep trying to tell y'all, all that is, that fetus, that sperm is flesh. Until that baby come out of that birth canal into the earth, and now he needs the breath of life to send its spirit into it. You are not nothing but flesh until a sinful flesh, even when you conceive into your mother's womb. You are flesh until Yah blow you a spirit. Once you breathe, once you come out, now you from her connection, you're breathing through her. You would die if it was left up to man and woman, to man send the sperm and a woman to incubate. You would die in there. That's the gift of the art. Gift of art that Yah orchestrated, where a baby can stay there for 9 months and live. It's using the mother, everything, just to live. In Yah is nothing but a sinful flesh. A child is born of a few days and full of sin. It says trouble, but that's the same. Why? Because they've been born into the world of sin. Out of a sin body are they birthed. But when the breath of life is given to them, now they have the breath of life. Now they have their own spirit. But just a few days born and full of trouble. You see? Not even a newborn baby going to escape the sin that David is telling you that he suffered. That's the way Yah orchestrated it. And because he orchestrated it, you don't put righteous, just, upright in it. It's still what is against him. It's still against him. That flesh is always against him. He said, get your flesh under the subjection to the spirit. For the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Paul pulled up. When I try to do right, Rome is present. See, they've been telling us all the time, and we are high and mighty, thinking we all this and all that in this nasty flesh, and don't even understand our flesh is an enemy to Yah. And then people walking around here like they don't need the Holy Spirit in them. So just imagine why people still walking around here with no Ruach in them, no Holy Spirit. And you trying to figure out how Satan easily deceived the whole world. That's how. Because our flesh been sinning against Yeshua since the Garden of Eden. Did we have a time period when no man sinned? Anybody can answer that? Were there a time period when there was no sin on the earth? There was 2 time periods when there was no sin on the earth. Do anybody know when that was? Wow. They pretty much cut me off. Let me know before man was created, everything was perfect. You see what I'm saying? You see? So it's actually letting you know all of this. When I told y'all, go back to Genesis. When you missed Genesis at the beginning, you'd have missed it all. Because this is why, then you wonder, how did Adam and Eve went toward that tree like that? How did they do that? After being created on a perfect foundation and created in the flesh is how they did it. You see, it was in the flesh is how they did it. So easy, so quick making that choice. And I'm going to show you where it matches up with it. So David here in Psalms 51, he breaking it down. It is sin even when your mother conceived you. That's why it talks about when a woman, the pain of a childbearing and the pain of being conceived. That's what it happens after they took of the tree. It's because it just put more issues on the flesh. On the flesh. So right here, David actually told us, when we thinking it's a good thing and we good to go because we having children, Yah is letting us know That's all flesh, y'all. What did he tell us? He don't deal with flesh. He meant that. We keep thinking that it's going to be the way we say it is. But he didn't already, David just checked us, letting us know. By what? Using himself as an example. All these things he said against thee was his flesh that's against Yah. That's what David is saying. Yes, it is a mystery because but the good thing about the mystery is poured out with bright light because what David has brought forth, we're going to find out. You ain't seen nothing yet. You're going to find out more about this mystery. Let's go to verse. This is the reason why the flesh is made of dirt. Do y'all know we eating where we come from? That's what we're doing. No one ever thought that's what we're taking in. We're eating where we actually come from, flesh. So let's go to verse 6. Verse 6 said, behold. Why is David keep saying behold to the Father? Because he know y'all see him anyway. But he's saying behold. And behold mean look. Watch what he says. Thy desired truth in the inward part. David is showing you that, look, y'all, it's the inward part that y'all desire. He just told y'all. It's not your flesh. It's the inward part. He's sitting here telling you, behold, thy desire truth in the inward parts. You see, he's showing you that the flesh, y'all don't have no dealings with it. Now watch this here. And in the hidden parts, thou shalt make me known. In the hidden part, thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Whose wisdom is that? Spiritual wisdom in your spirit, which is the inward part that holds the truth. So David is now showing you the spirit that has everything of Yah, that Yah is concerned about. To where people, that's why, remember I was telling y'all, people be telling you to wear this, to dress like this, to look like this. And I said, but what if you ain't right in the inward? When you finish dressing and putting your fringes on and your chain is saying Yah and your head wrap and no makeup, when you finish, why are you role playing on this flesh? How many times I told y'all that? People are role playing in the flesh, not even understanding that Yah is after your inner man. What did David say? That thy desired truth in the inward parts. So this is why people can't have truth in their inward parts. This is why people don't understand that the hidden parts, thou shalt make me know wisdom, only in the inner parts. That's why I say there's two wisdom, two knowledge, there's two understandings. And I keep telling y'all, when you get hooked up on the feelings and the emotion, that's all flesh. And y'all don't go, he ain't gonna come and say, stop using emotion, stop using your feelings. David's telling you, he gonna let you sin and do evil all you want in that flesh. Because he has no dealing with it. But everything you do in your flesh is an enemy to Yah. It's an enemy to Yah. That's the reason why our flesh has to get under subjection to our spirit. Something many people have not been taught. The reason why they have not been taught that they have a spirit, they tell them a soul to keep you from ever tapping into your own spirit, where Yah is willing to abide there in your spirit. But if you don't know you have a spirit where Yah want to come in, then how do you know? No one ever taught it. But Yah didn't care if you know it or not. What he did was from the inner part. He taught you from the inside, not the inside, the spirit that he put in you himself. That's why we needed him to teach us from the level of our inner part, because he can't do nothing with this flesh. The flesh, no, let me get that right. It ain't that he can't. David's letting you know, Yah is not coming and never will he to deal with your nasty flesh. And that's why your flesh is an enemy and sin against Yah. Do evil against Yah. Yah said you can't do evil against another man or evil against someone that's human on the earth. Your evil is against me. You see? Because if you're doing evil to someone else, what is that? Evil against evil. So David is saying it ain't that we crossing each other. We crossing him. We doing evil to him. In his eyesight, he sees all things, and we doing evil, sin, and iniquity in his eyesight. Because a lot of our evil, sin, and wicked, 99.9 can't be seen by man. But David said he sees it. So if he's the only one sees it, that's the only one we're doing it to. Don't that make sense? We thinking we good to go. But anything that we're doing down here in this flesh that's causing sin, iniquity, and evil to reign in us, it's not against my mother, my siblings. It's not against my children. It's not against my grandchildren. It's against Yah. It's all against Yah because he's the only one see it. In his eyesight, we doing this wicked and evil. And it's iniquity. In his eyesight. Because everybody don't see our wickedness. Everybody don't see our sin. Everybody don't see it all. But Yah see it. And that's what David trying to get y'all to see. By using himself as an example. But then he said in verse 6, behold, thy desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden parts thou shalt make me know wisdom. Look what Yah has to make him know. Wisdom from what? The inner man. Why? Because that's where he abide. Yah abide on the inner man, which is in your spirit, is where Yah abide. And there would he give you the spiritual wisdom. And there would he give you the spiritual knowledge. And there would he give you himself all understanding. And there shall he give you the peace. In there he gives you the joy. Hallelujah. In there he gives you his understanding. Only there. All of what I just said, Yah give you, he don't give you none of that in the flesh. He don't deal with your flesh. So you see how anything you can gain in your inner part is from Yah. All this other stuff that people want you to think and believe is what they're giving you for your flesh. And that's why the flesh continue to do evil, sin, and iniquity. Because no one is given the truth from their inner parts, given the wisdom from the inner parts, given the knowledge from the inner part, given the understanding from the inner part. They giving it from the outer part, which is the what? The flesh that continue to do what? Sin, iniquity, and wicked and evil toward Yah. So when your flesh do evil, wicked, and iniquity and sin, it's all to Yah. It's doing it to Yah. Somebody might say, well, no, I don't sin. You go right ahead. Anything you do is an enemy to Yah when it's done in the flesh. What do you mean, Deborah? Go back and see what David said about a mother that conceived him. That was a sin. That was a sin. A mother, you say homosexual. You want to get on the homosexual ones and say they homosexual. But look what David said. Even you having a baby by your husband is a sin. Why? Because it's all about the flesh until y'all pull up after you're born and give you what? A spirit. He blows the breath of life. Breath of life comes, shoot into you through the breath, a spirit. You're not, you don't have life when you in your mother. You have life when you out of your mother, and that's when y'all shoot that life in you. So all this stuff about all these people having abortion and so on, get somewhere and sit down with that. Because a man still don't understand his spirit, his sperms or seeds of flesh. So how many have he aborted when he masturbate? How about that? How you like me now? Father, yeah, I'm going to be in trouble. Father, yeah, I'm going to be in trouble, Father, yeah. Okay. So here, David turned around in verse 6 and explained to you, y'all, your outer man, y'all don't give a rat's behind about your outer man. He sit here telling you it's your inward parts that holds truth. It's your inward parts that has that spiritual wisdom, that spiritual knowledge, that understanding. When he said, in all your getting, get understanding. He ain't talking about that natural understanding. So what did that say? What did you say, Deborah? Father, all these years I have brought forth to these people. Look how David is telling you. Sister Deborah been telling y'all the same things when he been telling you about the twos. What David is showing you that there's a different entity of your flesh from that which you are spirit. Even with that, even though it's not the walk in the spirit, who born in the spirit and who born in the flesh, David is speaking way beyond that. He's actually letting you know those that are born of the spirit, guess what they're going to do? They're going to come in and they're going to go out serving their flesh. No, those that are those that are born of the flesh, they're going to come in and they're going to go out serving their flesh. Okay? Those that are born of the spirit, they're going to come in and go out walking in the spirit, but their flesh is going to be blameless. That's what the Christ, that power of that right hand came to do. To redeem your butt back to the Father in the spirit, because y'all don't want to have nothing to do with your flesh. I heard him say, don't be worried about what they do to take your flesh. Y'all from the beginning, y'all already knew it wasn't about the flesh. So when you think of him saying, we fight not against flesh and blood, it's a real war only. The true war is only in the spirit. Just imagine how all this stuff going on in the world. We have bypassed everything going on in the spirit realm, and we are focusing on the flesh. All that wickedness and darkness and iniquity, that evil, demonic, all of that's in the flesh. Then where is the light in the spirit, Father? That's why the gate is narrow. Because there's none. When I said none, little. People are caught in the wrong thing, and they placing themselves on pedestals. Look at all these pastors. Look at all these priests, these bishops, these apostles, these Moorians, these seers, these watchmen, these prophets, these prophetess, these evangelists running around here call themselves teaching some truth. And they only teaching from the level of the flesh. because they have no truth in the spirit, like David said in verse 6. Behold, the desire of truth is in the inward part. See how David just showed y'all? Something Sister Deborah been telling y'all from the longest. It's in the inner part. And then he said, and in the hidden parts, in the hidden part, thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Look at that word make. I like that. That's letting you know it ain't got nothing to do with you. He gonna make you know his wisdom. He gonna make you know his knowledge. He gonna make you know his understanding. He's gonna make you know. That's why he called it the inner part. That's where truth is held. Okay? So there he was saying, make me. I like that because he's actually sending a sign. It requires Yah to make you who he wants you to be in your inner parts. Because this nasty stuff in the flesh, oh, Deborah, tell him again. I have to hold them blameless. Because I can't look at this flesh. I ain't dealing with this flesh. So I'm going to hold them, Deborah, I'm going to hold them blameless. As long as I got the spirit, I'm going to hold them blameless because I can't deal with this flesh. And that's what David is talking about. Even him himself sin. And you looking at me. I do it dead in your eyes. That's what David's telling y'all. Y'all, I sin against the Most High Yah, and he sees me, and I'm evil, and not I'm evil, that I am evil, but I do evil in his eyes. Why? Because he sees all things. That's what David's trying to let y'all know. Y'all see all things, and it don't stop me from doing what I do. That's what I was telling y'all. When you running around here trying to make Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob A1, you can't make them that in this flesh. Now you pull up in the spirit with Yah in you, then you can make them that in their spirit, which that's what it was. It was always what was in the spirit. He said the battle, Deborah, is not even in the flesh because I don't deal with the flesh. So therefore, there's no need for a battle to be in the flesh because the flesh ain't coming to my kingdom. It's going back to that nasty dirt. Right after you eat from the ground, you're going to go right back to it. How about that? And I don't care. Everybody trying to find ways to eat of the ground, but they don't understand. There's things that have been put there as well to feed your flesh. See that people won't grip it. They don't grip it. Because Paul's sitting here telling y'all, it ain't that. What Yah has invested in you that's for you and healthy for you, it's really in your spirit. But you think people know about that? No, they don't give a rat's behind about their spirit, man. They don't care about what's going on in the spirit. Just imagine this. Come on now, y'all. Come on, y'all got to see in this whole world. Why all this wicked and evil at its highest? Why is there lawlessness? Why is all these things going on? Flesh. And the kingdom is sitting there, what David said, seeing it. You think he gonna move it? What did I tell you? He said he ain't coming to make nothing straight. He ain't coming to redeem nobody. He ain't coming to send another one of Deborah down here. For what? To deal with flesh? Sister Deborah have enough dealing with flesh. What do you mean? Why should I send another one of hers to deal with flesh? What do you mean, Father Yah? What do you mean? Why would I send another one of your flesh down here to deal with flesh? Because I don't need nobody to deal with the spirit. I am that I am. I'm the spirit that comes into the flesh. So why would I send another flesh down here to deal with the flesh? I don't need nobody to come down to deal with the spirit. I am that I am. That's the whole idea of being redeemed. I came down in the Son of Yah to redeem everyone back to me in the spirit. So while they down there clowning in the flesh, guess what? I got them up in the spirit, written where they gonna return. See, we running around here thinking that this is all about the flesh. That's why nobody don't want to do right. That's why no one want to do anything under righteous, just, upright. They don't want to do anything under righteous because they feel that, hey, this is about me, but they don't understand it is about you. You disrespecting Yah 24/24. Even when you sleep, you disrespecting him. Why? Because you flesh. See, I'm trying to take you out there, and I know I'm not getting you there, but that's okay. I'm there already. So I don't know what you're waiting for. That's what David is trying to tell us. So here in verse 7, listen to what he says. Now in verse 6, he went to tell you that only thing that you concerned about is the inner man, where truth is only reside. I told y'all truth is in here, in the spirit of Yah in you. Truth is not on the outside with all these people talking. That's not truth. So this book can't be the word, because the word got to be in you, where Yah reside. How dare you say a book is the word? And when the Ruach comes, he's going to teach you all things. What are he going to teach you all things if you got the book of your words to teach you? Yes, you know why? Because the book of the books of the words are for the flesh. But the book of the word of Yah, who the Father is, it's in you. You can't find his name on the outside in your flesh. How many times I tell you that? This flesh running their mouth telling me we got the name. You ain't got nothing. David just told you, y'all don't deal with the flesh. The flesh is against y'all. It do everything against y'all. So why he gonna need you to know his name in your nasty flesh? And you don't even know him to be the word. You don't know him to be all power. You don't know his spirit. You don't know his right hand. You don't know his stretched out arm. You don't know about his I am that I am. You don't know about the Son of Yah. You don't know nothing, but you got the name. The name that the people got was in their flesh. And I try to tell y'all, there is a name that can be found in your spirit. How dare you think for me to know the Father would say, I will come, Deborah, and I would abide in thee and teach you, show you, give you power, comfort you, reveal things to you. How can you dare, Father, be in me and your name's not there? Why is it you in me, but your name on the outside of me? Something going on is because it ain't about what you know on the outside. It's about who you are on the inside. Because that's where the name is at. I try to tell y'all. The name is found on the inside with the one that is Yah. Do you see his power? You see his word and his spirit is in you. Then what? Wait a minute, Father, where's your name then? If you're greater in me than anything on the outside of me, where's your name? He don't need your nasty flesh to speak his name when he's residing in you. That name is in you. That's why they've been lying to you. This is when you know that you know. Because he's greater in you. How can he be so greater in you? But then the world is trying to conquer you by what they can say a name on the outside. What did David just tell you? My flesh ain't worth a dime. And that's what you see today. People in the flesh quoting the name. But they have not the power. They have not the word. They have not a spirit. They have not his comforter. They have not him to be the teacher. He's the one that reveal things to them. He's the one that bring things back to their remembrance. They don't have none of that. But we got the name. You got the name in your nasty, stinky flesh. And guess what? It don't mean a rat's behind if he ain't greater in you than he is in the world. Get that name. How about that? And it's called the Ruach HaKodesh, the Father's Spirit. Hamashiach. Try getting that. That don't even make no sense. That's just like I'm sitting in this house. But on the outside is really where I'm at. Even though I'm sitting in this house. Yah is on the inside of us. He don't have to be on the outside of us quoting his name when he's greater in us. Y'all, come on now. Y'all got to make it make sense. It don't make sense. But that's what? They've been teaching that for thousands of years. So somewhere along the line, it's making sense to that flesh. Okay, it's making sense to that flesh. So verse 7 says, Psalms 51 and verse 7, purge me. I don't even know what that is. Hyssop. With hyssop. How do you pronounce that? Hyssop. And I shall be clean. Whatever it is, David is asking y'all to clean him. You see that? Why is David saying that? Because y'all, David knows that the flesh is not what y'all been taught and to believe. So let's do it like this. Let's say, for instance, if Deborah wrap her head up, and you know how over in them foreign, the Middle East, and all these women be wearing this black stuff, and they cover up. They got their eyes all covered up and everything all covered up. Wait a minute, hold up. How is the flesh covered, but the spirit is not? How can a man convince a woman of any creator by covering up her outside, but the spirit of who she is not covered? You see how sick they are? When I see these Arabs and these Islam people, these women all wrapped, first thing I said, those are what you call straight up ill people. People that's here on the earth to cover the flesh. Now it makes so much sense how it was so easy. It was so easy for Satan to reach his goal of deceiving the whole world. That's how easy it was. That's how easy it was. And where you know something is sick, how can a 3-year-old boy or a 3-year-old girl, how could her flesh be an appetite to anyone for any pleasure? You see the sickness? So you see how much the flesh is so deeply sick in this day and time that Yah has set up what one would call revelation to deal with all that been getting away in the flesh. My cry to the Father, and it's not just yesterday, it's today. How long, Father? How long? That's my cry. Because he's suffering me to see even what David is saying. He's allowing me to see it for what it is, not what y'all want to make it be and pretend that it is and say that it is and play like it is. But the reality of what David is saying here is the reality of how this prophet in the wilderness, that's why I call it a wilderness, because that's where he teach me at the level where no man is willing to go nor come from. So he said in verse 7, purge me with sop. What's that? Not sop. It's hype. His soap. What is that? What do that mean? HYSSOP. But whatever it is, he's pleading to the Father to purge him. And I shall be clean. So whatever it is, he's asking for him to clean him. But watch what he say. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. So what do you think he's talking about? The flesh or the spirit? And verse 7, purge me with, what's that? I should have looked that up before. HYSSOP. Purge me, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. What is he talking about? What is David talking about? And what is he speaking of? Purge me. Anybody know? Spirit, okay? It's definitely spirit. You're right. But I'm just looking this here up to here. Just shoot. I don't even know. I got to get this in English because they don't even give you nothing in Hebrew. Let's see what it says in English, knowing it's going to lie. Hey, it's an herb. It's an herb. Something that must cleanse. A spiritual cleanser. That's what that is, y'all. A spiritual cleanser. That's what David is asking him, to cleanse his spirit. So you had it right. You had it right. To cleanse his spirit. That's what he said. And I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. So why would you think David is asking him to cleanse him from the inside versus the outside? Anybody? Let me see who's going to get that one. Why is David saying, purge me with this herb that cleansed the spirit, and I shall be clean? Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. What is David saying here? Right, like, yeah, okay. What is David saying here? He's asking Yah to cleanse, to clean, and to wash him and to purge him. He's speaking of his spirit. Why isn't David speaking of his flesh? Can anybody know? There you go. You said it. You nailed that one. And it says she has it because y'all don't deal with the flesh. The flesh is always going to be sinful. That's it. Do you see that? David ain't worried about him working with his outer man. He's worried about him working with his inner man. So he's saying, cleanse my spirit. Why? Why is he saying cleanses my spirit? Because there's so much iniquity, sin, and evil in his flesh that he's hoping that Yah take care of his spirit man and not let it be as wicked as his outer man. That's what David is saying. But you know what, though? I kind of feel, David, because, just to think that's a really good thing for me, because when I even worked so hard in trying to be about who I am from the inside, it is a lot of energy, a lot of work, and a lot of stress trying to be as good as I know that I am in the inside with the Ruach. I want to be that way on the outside. So when David is talking, he's speaking even to me. I ain't gonna say to me, I know he is. That Deborah, it's who you are on the inside. Y'all he already redeemed. So you working so extra hard to be the same way on your outer man, as you are on your inner, and it's no such thing. There's no such thing. So he wants to be, like you say, purified in the sense of, let me at least be right in my spirit, Father Yah. That's what he's saying. Please let me at least be right in my spirit, because my flesh is a hot mess. But when I sit and tell y'all, I salute Yah, I understand it, I feel it. It's because Yah wanted us to at least consider taking our spirit that has the Ruach in it and put our flesh under the subjection to the spirit, always using the mind of the spirit versus the mind of the flesh. You see? So with that being said, I be wanting to really be the way that Yah is in me on the inside, and I know what the inside is. I want to be that way on the outside. And how we get to work on the outside, which we would never work on it completely because we still are sinful. It's no way he's going to seal us to be blameless if we ain't got nothing to be blameless for. So we have to still be blamed. We got to be blameless, because y'all know that the flesh, as long as it's here, it's going to try to all the time do the opposite of what the Father want to do. So that's why it's in want us to do. But by the Ruach coming stepping in, you have a better chance of getting that flesh under the subjection to the spirit of the Most High Yah. Because why? Now the Ruach is in you. What do you mean, Deborah? When he said, what did he say? When the Holy Spirit come upon you, you shall what? The first thing you're going to receive is the Holy Spirit, and then what? Power. Now you got the power to defeat a lot of this chaos and issues you have in the flesh. You see what I'm saying? So I tried to understand how could we awaken to everything that we think we awaken to with these sick people. Talking about it's awaken, we awaken, and we awaken. And in the eyes of Yah, you ain't awakened to nothing. Because the only awakening you could be awakening to is that which is spirit and truth. Let me explain that. Why is it you can't awaken to anything else outside of spirit and truth? Let me see if somebody can answer that. Why is it the only thing one can awaken to is spirit and truth? Why? Can anybody answer that? Right, that's true. If we walk in the flesh, we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. That's why he said that when he come in you, that power and everything that he is what helps you to defeat the ways of your flesh. But do it erase it all? No. That's why he said, I sealed you with what is called blameless when you come back to me. I'm not going to look at nothing but that you are blameless. Why? Because I see me in you. I live in you. So you're going to be blameless. Why? Because I don't deal with flesh no way, Deborah. You know that. I don't deal with no flesh no way. So that's going to get kicked out of to the curve. I'm dealing with your spirit. This is why important that we need the Ruach. That's how important it is. And we have made it unimportant and made everything else these people are talking about on these devil platforms, even to the point of wrapping your head. You made that important. Even to the wearing your fringes. Even to the point of everything on your flesh, you got an order for. You got a diet. Y'all don't give a rat's behind what you eat because it's for what? The flesh. Wake up, somebody. That's what David's talking about. It's the flesh. When he gave them the law of what to do and how to do it back in the old, they never kept it. But here today, they want you to live by it. When if you didn't keep it, then how are you going to try to get me to live by it? The best thing we can live by in this day and time and forevermore is by the spirit of y'all living in us. All this wreck behind mess that these people teaching ain't about nothing. They want everybody lost as they are. Okay, so this is what David is saying. So in verse which verse are we in? We are now going to verse 8. And in verse 8, he says, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. What is David saying? Can anybody listen to what David said in verse 8? Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. May rejoice. What is David talking about there? Verse 8, make me to hear joy and gladness. What is that saying? Because Yah is the only spirit and truth. Comfort me even though you judged me. Okay? Hear what he's saying. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. See, one thing a lot of you all don't understand, when Yah come in you, before he come in you, And when he come in you, he has to break you to make you. Meaning when he comes to your spirit and you abide in him and he abide in you, okay? What he's telling him is make me to hear joy and gladness in the spirit. That how you broke me from the spirit realm or in the spirit, which thou hast broken, that which Yah, no, let me get that right. Where am I at? I had it right here. 8. Let me say it. Make me to hear joy and gladness in the spirit realm, in my spirit, that the bones which thou hast broken, those are not natural bones, child, those are spirit, mean broken ways that the spirit were involved in. He said, the broken bones has broken. Wait a minute. The bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Why did the bones rejoicing? Because y'all broke them to get them right. Now it's time to rejoice. It's David is telling him what all his hope is in him. Doing these things. Give me the joy and the gladness. He's talking from his inner man. Because what? The inner man is created to tame the outer man. But because we didn't have, or we wasn't able to follow laws, commandments, or anything, now we need the Spirit of Yah in us to help us tame our flesh. And they're going to be, no matter what you do, your flesh still going to sin something. And don't think y'all going to let you go around here killing, stealing, and raping, and beating, and setting on fire, and robbing, and you think that that's what he's going to hold you blameless. Oh, no, baby. No, you don't be bent. Don't be bent. He ain't going to be living in you and going in the bank robbing with you. He ain't going to be living in you while you molesting little kids. He ain't gonna be living in you while you murdering somebody. He ain't gonna be living in you when you disrespecting people and acting crazy. But he living in you. No, He said, before I even let you go anywhere near that, I'll take you out of here. You know who you talking about? That flesh. Just so you can still be saved. Cut up from the floor up if you want to. I'll take you out of here just so you can still be redeemed. But if you think I'm going to live in you and be greater in you, and you're going to be out here doing these things with evil and wicked to the point where you done went way overboard, I will in your flesh just so your spirit can still be redeemed. That's how he rumble. He don't play. Y'all don't have the time to play patty cake with your flesh. He don't want to have nothing to do with your flesh. I don't know why everybody think that it's all about their flesh. And you can't continue to think that. That's why the gate is broad and the gate is narrow. He know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. So here he says in verse 8, he says, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. And then it's a verse from Matthew chapter 5 and verse 4. Let's see what it says. In Matthew chapter 5 and verse 4. In Matthew chapter 5 and verse 4, listen to what he says. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed, Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. Blessed are they. Who are they? They already blessed. That mourn, for they shall be comforted. Verse 8, make me to hear joy and gladness, for the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Okay, so now we're in verse 9. In verse 9 it says, hide thy face from my sin and blot out all my iniquity. See, a lot of people thought the only time that time could really take place in that David is talking about what it was like back in his day and time, those that represent as servants of Yah. And then as we are today, it's the same, it's really the same, except for we got him in us now. The way David is saying, hide thy face from my sins. Okay, as if Yah is with him or upon him. And he say, and blot out my iniquities. See, he's saying, hide your face. Why is David telling him to hide his face? Let me tell you why David said, hide your face. Listen what David said in verse 9. Hide thy face from my sin. Because I ain't going to stop sinning, Father, y'all. So would you hide your face from my sin? Hide your face from my sin. From my sins with an S. And blot out all my iniquity. Blot them out and hide my sin. He ain't said, I'm going to stop or teach me or help me to stop. That's not what David said. Because the sin is going to always be there. So he's asking him to just not to hide his face so he won't see his sin. I like what David is doing because he's giving you a better grip on how we need to stop thinking it's about the flesh inheriting the kingdom and the ways of the flesh, the mindset of the flesh, the thoughts of the flesh, the wisdom of the flesh, the knowledge of the flesh. I mean, even everything in the flesh understanding. We really think our hair gonna cause us into the gonna be our choice into the kingdom. We really think everything about our flesh is to determine how the kingdom is gonna rumble. Baby. Y'all said, look, I don't deal with it, Deborah, but you can't tell them. It's all throughout, warning them. That's why you cannot go talking about going in the closet and praying with that flesh. How many times I told you that? You can't go pull up on the Father in this flesh. If you don't know how to pull up on him in the spirit, sit your tail down. Because going here, hooping and hollering, you ain't pulling up in nobody, but you kneeling down before Satan. You kneeling down before darkness, and you getting up from darkness and walking away and waiting for the next day so you can kneel down in the midst of darkness. Because y'all said, I ain't hearing it, Deborah. They don't understand I'm spirit. Come to me in spirit. They don't want to do that. They wants to come in the way of the flesh. You ain't going nowhere with it. So David was saying, hide thy face from my sin. He ain't saying stop me from sinning. Just hide your face so you won't see it. Then David said, blot out all my iniquity. What is he saying? Even David know that Yah got it written. He knows. It is written. And all he said is, please blot all of my sin, my iniquity. David ain't saying stop it. Because it can't be stopped, y'all. Only one can stop it is the Ruach in you. That's the greatest that we have that they didn't have back then. The spirit of who Yah is now live in us. It helped tame us on the outside. It helped tame us on the outside. That's why I try to say to y'all how important it is to have the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. Do you know the only way to the narrow gate is the way the Ruach leads you? It's not your flesh knowing the way to the narrow gate. To the narrow gate. It's not your flesh finding the way to the narrow gate. It is the spirit that's in you, leading you and guiding you through the narrow gate so that you can find the way to life. So you see how everybody is taking upon this flesh so much work? And do you understand why Sister Deborah says no such thing of awakening? Because everything everybody's awakened to is flesh. So when can flesh please Yah? Flesh don't have no dealings in this creator. But yet they seem to think That's all we need to do is role play this flesh into the kingdom, and we'll get there. And he started saying, but Deborah, tell him again, please. The battle is not in the flesh. It's in the spirit. He don't waste his time with the flesh. He already assigned it to the grave. So why should he be battling something he know going back to the grave already? That's why we all going to die someday. Even when that day come where the New Jerusalem is coming forth, or Mount Zion where he's going to switch things over, it's something about who we are in the flesh ain't going to be there when the New Jerusalem come down. That flesh going to have to do away with it. He's stropping that flesh off of us. You see, why would he do that? Because he never had no dealings with our flesh. We keep trying to force who he is on our flesh. And it's like, well, I don't want to know who he is. I don't know him then. I ain't in there. If they can't accept me the way I am and all of me, he can't have sit down. He ain't had you know it. Get somewhere and sit down. Stop clowning. You're not in there no way. You don't even know which gate to go in. Okay, so verse 10. Verse 10 said, create in me a clean heart, O Yah, and renew the right spirit within me. So that's where I'm going to stop. But I want you to see where David is actually asking Yah to create in him a clean heart. Oh, Yah. Why is David asking him to create him in him a clean heart? In his spirit, he's talking about. But why? Because he done so much sin, y'all. He done so much iniquity that he feel he has tainted or interfered with the heart in the spirit. And he's saying to the Father, that's going back to where it says, repent and turn, to get rid of these ways so we won't keep bringing them right before Yah every time. Repent, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. That's why you don't have the Holy Spirit, because you think it's all about you repenting and you back in line, you back in line again. So David is saying, create in me a clean heart. He's speaking of his spiritual heart, oh Yah, because all the things that he's doing is against Yah in the flesh. And that's why I tell y'all, I told y'all, and I've taught this, you cannot mimic Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You cannot mimic no one on the earth, for they are of the flesh. Try mimicking that ruach in you, having that mind of Christ living in you. Try mimicking that. Oh, you don't want that, do you? Oh, no, because the flesh is an enemy to the Most High Yah. It was created to be an enemy to the Most High Yah. And if it's an enemy to the Most High Yah, it's first got to be your enemy as well. And not first, but it's going to be your enemy as well. That's why y'all, I'm just seeing so many people killing up their families like it ain't. How could you be married all them years? Or how could you have children? How could you be? It's just off the chain. These are people loaded in their flesh. They have had the pleasures of world, and they have been loaded in their flesh to where they don't even understand that the flesh is no dealing with Yah. David broke it down, and then he said in verse 10, and renew a right spirit. You see, David ain't saying renew my flesh. David ain't saying put in me a clean flesh heart. David ain't saying and renewing my the right flesh in me. He ain't asking for none of that. Listen to what he says. Listen to what David said at the end. And renew a right spirit within me. David only want him to work on the inside. And I come to you this evening to let you know the only thing y'all gonna work with is on your inside. All this mess that they teaching y'all. Say, for instance, if you eat, y'all gave them a dietary law, okay? Because some things that we eat is not good for us, okay? So y'all was saying, okay, these things I didn't create for you all to eat. That's what that was all about. But what is it? That's for your own health, because these things weren't created for you to eat. But if you eat them, you're eating it at your own expense. But it ain't no heaven and hell. It ain't bounding you to anything. But those are the sort of things. Now watch this, y'all. Y'all don't, I know y'all don't get it, but we got to hit something before we get off of here. And that's in Genesis chapter 3. Why is it that everything, that's why I try to explain to you how the Hebrew Israelite in the tribe of Judah cannot and should not ever try to bring Torah ways into today. Because their ways of bringing Torah is trying to say to the Father, we're going to make a fool out of you. They didn't keep him back then. And there was nowhere as much sin as it is now, but we're going to uphold it. And but what are they going to be upholding in the end? Do anybody know? What would they be upholding Torah in? Anybody know? If we were to go back and live based on the five books, Torah, what will we be living it in? Anybody know? In this day and time, what will be what of the flesh? There you go. You see what I'm saying? Because it's the flesh trying to gain power to the Torah, the order that was given to them back then. They couldn't keep it then. So why are you going to think that we're going to live by the Torah, which they couldn't keep it then, and it wasn't as much as wicked and evil as it is now, but you're going to pull up today and you're going to use it for the flesh. For the flesh and the flesh only. Make it make sense if you can. You can. It's crazy. It's far out ludicrous. You see? Now, the key today to make it so dangerous is this. Yah has just expressed in so many spiritual nuggets that we have in this end days lived the way of the flesh. And he is saying it's high time you understand what Sister Deborah is bringing forth. This is what you call light out of the mist of darkness. And this is the sort of message that's dangerous. Why is it dangerous? Because this is the way heaven orchestrated it. This is something that they have not abided by. They have not taught. They have not read. They have not mastered. They have not even gone near. And to think that they can go near it without Yah being in them, it's dangerous. You cannot apply this message to you if he that is greater than anything on the earth is not abiding in you. This message cannot be applied to you. That's the danger of this message. It's because one would take it and hold dear to it as if it's there to support their understanding in this day. And this is the worstest day like no other. David can't speak on today. What David is talking about, his sin, his evil, and his iniquity that he's doing in the eyes of Yah, because Yah see it all. Guess what? It can't compare to what this day. Because this is the day that Yah says like no other day. That's how bad it is. You see? That's another reason why you can't go run into Torah thinking you're going to bring Torah in today. Torah had its time. They didn't abide by it then, and they ain't gonna abide by it today. But Yah is saying, what do you need Torah for? If I'm greater than anything on the outside of you, as well as Torah itself. See, they don't understand that. They don't understand the Ruach is greater than Torah. I don't know why people don't get that. And all these different religions, all these different denominations, and everything this trash they talking about, they fail to realize there is a spirit of one that created all things. When he come live in you, everything else got to stand down. Why? Somebody said, well, no, the name is it. Sit down. How could the name you say greater than what is in me? How dare you? Pull up the power with your name and I show you my power without the name that you're speaking, without the name. And see. Oh, Father, I like that, Father, Yah. Oh, Father, I like that. I like that. Pull up your power with that name. And let me pull up the power without that name. I like that, Father, Yah. You know what'll happen? I get in trouble. I get in trouble. Why? Why are you wrestling with flesh? That's why. If I don't mess with flesh, why are you wrestling with flesh, Deborah? Flesh don't know what's going on. Flesh don't know they left from their right. All they know is it's a left and it's a right, but they don't even know which way they're going. So if that man said he got the name, let him play with the name. He's playing in his flesh with a name. But if you got he that is in you is greater than the name itself, then what can this one with the name do with the name that it has? Sit down. Now watch this here, y'all. So I said to the Father one, Father, I got some issues. I did. I said, Father, y'all, I got some issues. And you know, he won. I said, but I heard, and maybe I misunderstood, Father, y'all, but I heard something. I think I'm gonna have to pull this one here to make sure it ain't. I'm gonna have to get me a new book here. Yeah, I come from this end. And I said, Father, back in the beginning, they was talking about when you were dealing with the serpent and telling them how it's going to be with the woman seed and the serpent seed. And then in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 12, I want to show y'all something. I'm going to show y'all something. In Genesis chapter 3 and verse 12, when David began to say, I conceived, what did he say, y'all? Let me make sure I say it right. Do y'all remember what David said in Psalms 51? Watch this here. I want y'all to think about this here, and we'll have to come back to it because it's pretty deep, y'all. Psalms, okay? Where is it at? 51. David said something in verse 5. Remember we went over there? David said, behold, I was shapen in iniquity. Why? Because he's flesh. And in sin did my mother conceive me. In sin did my mother conceive me. So I goes back here and I said, but Father, what about Genesis chapter 3 and verse 12? Let's go. And the man said, no, not 12, not 12. No. I got to get back. In verse, let me get it right. 16. It's in 16. Genesis chapter 3 and verse 16. Unto the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow, the flesh, and thy conception, the flesh. In the sorrow, thou shalt bring forth a child. There it is. That's exactly what David said. That is exactly what David said. It's a sin, y'all. It always was. Why? Because it had no detachment to the spirit. You see? It was strictly flesh. All these things that is said, Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow, flesh, and thy conception, flesh. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth child. In sorrow thou shalt bring, that's out of your flesh. You're going to bring forth a child. Okay, in sorrow. And the desire shall be to thy husband. That's where man put in there. You know why? The desire shall be to thy husband, flesh. And he shall rule over thee, flesh. All of this is flesh. Then where is the space, or where is the place for a woman in the kingdom? If everything about her is flesh, even a man ruling over her, it is said, as and her desires to her husband, not her desires to Yah, not her desires to the creator at all, but to your flesh, to a flesh of a man. Why would Yah put all of those, or allow all of that to be about the flesh? So what curse did they have? What was really the consequences of their sin? All in the flesh. But when I look here in verse 17, it says, unto Adam, he said, because thou hast hearkened to the voice of the wife. Why didn't Adam get disciplined from not hearkening to the voice of Yah? Why is Adam being chastised for hearkening unto the wife's voice, but not hearkening to the father's voice? Woo! They really messed this up. Now watch this here. And has eaten the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. That's where the issue is at. Now watch this here. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shall thou eat of it all the days of thy life. The ground. Flesh came from ground, and you're going to eat the ground in which you come from. But that can't stand for just man. A man can't multiply and have sorrow. A man don't have sorrow in his conception, or sorrow when he bring forth a child. Why is the woman got all these curses as a form of flesh, giving her desire toward her husband, and her flesh is being ruled by her husband? That's not the work of Yah. That is not the work of the creator. That's man-made, y'all. That even sound like something was man-made. But don't forget, this is all has to do with the flesh. And then he said, curse is the ground that for thy sake, in sorrow thou shalt eat of it all the days of thy life. But woman eats of it too. So why is his curse not really a curse outside of him eating from which he come from? So that's like you eating your own flesh. But it's not said like nothing like that here. And then it said, thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, meaning things you're not supposed to eat. the ground is going to bring it forth. Thou shalt eat the herbs of the field. So, and then in verse 19, in the sweat of thy face shall thou eat bread, till thou return into the ground. For out of it was I taken. For dust thou art, and dust shall thou return. Right there shows you how the Roman Catholics and the Jesuits smeared that up. Because everything he said to Adam is 100% the same curse of Adam is also 100% the same curse to woman. It don't make sense. How did they get away with it? It don't matter to me, because it's going right back to what this message is about. It's dangerous to know this day, such a midnight hour, a time as this, to know. So if you, to know that your flesh won't stand a chance in the eyes of Yah. David's sitting here telling us his evil, his sin, and his iniquity is in the sight of Yah. And Yah ain't doing nothing but let it have its way. This is why the world is the way it is. Yah let it have its way in the flesh. That's the mystery. He allowed the world to have its way in the flesh. So this is why it's all chaotic. And a lot of people think chaotic is all about wealth and Republicans and Democrats, the billionaires and all of this. No, baby. It's deeper than that. It's a hot mess beyond all of that. You got sick people now waiting for Donald Trump time to be up so they can go back and play in the game, voting, Democrat and Republican. And they cannot see what is before them at all. So the blessing out of this lesson is David sharing with us that a lot of things that people are doing in the flesh, and the more you see of it, the more you understand, because y'all don't have no dealing in the flesh. He has no dealings. When he told Lot and them, he was bringing Lot and them out, you notice his wife, she was turning back. People did not understand what that turning back was. Her flesh desired to be back and were in what Yah was bringing her out of. Since Solomon's brimstone and fire came down, well, just we gonna go in you right here. Y'all don't, because I don't care. You missing it? I tell you what, I'm bringing you out, and you ain't worldly to be coming out here. You ain't worldly to be coming out of here. Lot and his daughters, they shouldn't be coming out of here either. And you mean to tell me I'm bringing you out because of Abraham, and you turning back because your flesh desire? Oh, I can settle that right now. Bam. Y'all don't play. And this is why a lot of people don't understand death. They hooping and hollering because you're gone. But when you was here, they didn't treat you no better than they treating you now. They just hooping and hollering because you're gone. That's how the flesh rumble, y'all. The flesh got an ugly way about itself. I can't explain it. I don't think nobody can explain it. But David said it. David nailed it by using his own self as an example for us to understand, cut this mess out in the flesh. If the Ruach is in us, it should teach us how to get this flesh under subjection. Are we going to do things that's unpleasing to Yah? Yes, but Yah ain't looking that way, because he got a seal on your head saying blameless. But if you think for 1 minute he's going to let you do things and all is well, because that's what happened to all the pastors and all these teachers, Joyce Meyer, T.D. Jakes, and all of them. They went into homosexual, they went into everything. Then they went and they made it about money, and Yah is all about, they ain't teaching Yah, but their God is all about them getting wealthy and rich. So that shows you it's all the flesh, and Yah let them. When I used to hoop and holler at a young person saying, Father, I see all these pictures and stuff of them hanging the black people and the children and the men, and they just setting them on fire right in front of a whole bunch of people. But guess what? I said, but you never went and helped them. For what? That's flesh hanging there, baby. This is why Yah is not wrapped in and wrapped out because of your flesh. David, that's what David was talking about. So right today, if the Ruach is in you, it would take the Ruach in you will have you and its spirit to tame your flesh and get your flesh under the subjection. It ain't gonna get all the way under subjection, because that's why he got you locked under blameless. You're gonna still be doing things. But if you think you're gonna get away with doing things that ain't, and you're gonna get away on this earth, no, Yah say I'll take you out of here unexpectedly at a blink of an eye. Try me. So I, Sister Deborah, appreciate each and every last one of you all in the live chat. And I hope you got something out of it, because I got something out of it even after Y'all had given me enough a full meal deal this morning. I even got something out of it just sitting here talking. And I appreciate each and every last one of you all tuning in. And the more you're going to open up and read, guess what you're going to find out? It's this here what we talked about. It's going to affect you in everything you read from now on. I, Sister Deborah, says, Shalom.